It's Sunday, so let's break down another packed week of headlines and some rapid-fire stuff that you may not have heard of. Joining me now, Patrick Dorinson, the Common Sense Cowboy commentator. Pat, welcome back.
Thanks, Carl. How are you doing?
Well, I'm trying to keep above water with all this crazy news. It's like, something happens, Biden is going to says, oh, look, I'm going to write off $300 billion of student loans, and then the next shoe drops, and it felt like that news was a month ago. But I want to talk about Biden with yet another crazy quote, referring to Republican loyalty to President Trump as semi-fascist. No examples, of course, Patrick.
Well, of course not, and I'm trying to figure out what a semi-fascist is. Does that mean you're only a fascist during the week and on the weekend you're not? But what do we expect from a semi-conscious president? Look, the Democrats have absolutely nothing to run on. So what are they going to do? They're going to do what they perfected over the years, and they're going to get nastier, and they're going to get meaner. And Republicans ought to remember the old cowboy wisdom says, when you give a lesson in meanness to a critter or a person, don't be surprised if they learn the lesson. Well, I think our voters have learned the lesson because they were called deplorables by Hillary Clinton. So if they want to keep calling us names, I say bring it on.
Yeah, people made a lot of money off T-shirts on deplorables. Moving on, former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley's tax returns leaked, exposing a list of secret donors. The list includes, Susan Youngkin, the wife of Virginia Governor, obviously Glenn Youngkin, former Pennsylvania Senate candidate David McCormick. And I mean, if these are supposed to be our institutions that we trust, what do we do now?
Well, when I heard Nikki Haley make this public, well, then she said, Republicans have been nice for too long. Well, if she's just figuring that out, she's too dumb to ever be a president of the United States. They've been this way for many, many years. And what it means is that they're controlling everything. They're controlling every institution we got out there. And then they blatantly go away and say, well, hey, it was out there and we did it, so we're going to do what we want. But let's remember something. Republicans still don't know how to fight. I've said it before. They show up to a political brawl with a Nerf bat made out of foam rubber, and the Democrats show up with a Louisville Slugger made out of hickory, and they know how to use it.
Right.
So we better start getting baseball bats at work.
Yeah, and then the Republicans actually ask what the rules are, and the Democrats are like, yeah, whatever. All right, so I mentioned this in the opening, Biden's borrower bailout. I mean, the largest executive order in the history of ever for a bunch of people that got degrees that were not a good return on investment. Why is that my fault or your fault to pay back?
Well, it isn't, but if you don't have a student debt, you sure do now. And the other thing is, have they told us how much it's going to cost? Well, no. Have they told us, are these people going to get a letter that says $10,000 is forgiven, or are they going to get a check? They still haven't told us that. And here's the funny thing, Carl, that nobody's talking about in all the networks. Think about it. When you have a debt that is forgiven, it's an income. It's a taxable event. But guess what they did when they passed the American Rescue Plan way back in Biden's first year? What does it say? Well, there's a little thing in there, and this is why we should read these bills before these guys vote on them. It says that any student debt that's forgiven between 2021 and 2025 will not be taxed federally. So they've already fixed this thing. They knew they were going to do this, and they finally just sprung it on us because it's getting close to the election. Once again, we have these big giant bills that nobody reads, and once you start sifting through it, you realize that we're once again on the short end of the stick. And as Milton Friedman once said, there ain't no such thing as a free lunch, and somebody's going to pay for this.
Yeah. Patrick, earlier on we had somebody, and I got to end with this. Maggie said that Trump's not the guy to run in 24. I disagree vehemently. She says he didn't deliver on his promises. What do you make of that?
Well, let's see. The economy was humming along. I was paying $2 a gallon for gas, as were most Americans. The border was shut for all intents and purposes. The Russians certainly weren't going to do anything like they did with Barack Obama or Joe Biden in Ukraine. The Chinese were cowed a little bit. Gee, I guess he didn't accomplish much. That's nonsense. They just don't like Trump. Let's just face it, they don't like him. And you know something, right now I'd go for a few mean tweets.
Yeah, Well, I think we all could. I'd just like to see him back on Twitter. I know he's on Truth Social, and I follow him there, but it sure was nice to watch the liberal meltdowns basically hourly as he would tweet out his daily tasks.
They're still melting down every day.
That's actually true. They did just raid his home in Mar-a-Lago. Who am I kidding? All right, Patrick Dorinson, Common Sense Cowboy, we appreciate you coming on.
You bet, Carl.
All right.